So, welcome to the next video for the Polo. So this is sort of, in a way, quite an exciting one I wasn't planning to do just yet, but one I have been looking forward to doing, and that is the suspension on the Polo. So let's crack on and see what we're doing. Okay, so there is one very good reason why I've decided to strip down the bottom of the car and do the whole suspension now in the early stages of January, with a snowstorm heading in within the next few hours. The sky is preparing nicely for the snowstorm, so we have about 2.5–3 hours to get this entire job done. But that is one of my rear shocks completely disintegrated effectively. I think the piston came out, threw oil everywhere, completely sort of fell apart. I did manage to sort of slot it back together, and it's kind of on the car, but not ideal. You don't want to be driving around like that. So thankfully APD, again, been long time supporters of the channel. Huge thank you to them. Within a matter of minutes they sorted me out with a full replacement of all 4 corners. So we have a wonderful Vika care package. Excuse the rest of the stuff, that video is coming up soon, apart from the lawnmower. But we've got all new springs, top hats, bearings, we've got the new shocks, all very well sorted within a matter of minutes for me. So greatly appreciated by them. Really good Vika parts. They are OE direct replacements, and I think these are from the June model. And the only difference is the springs, which I believe are slightly taller, slightly thicker. So we'll compare it once it's done, and I'll get a few photos before and after, and we'll see if we can notice any height difference. But typically the June model sits sort of 15mm taller, so it's not a lot. But now I've got sort of the big Cooper tyres on there. Thank you to Mr. Tyre Motorsport. Really appreciated. I picked them up from them over Christmas, and I'm loving them, especially in the snow that we've had in the recent days, and now about to come up as well. They've been absolutely fantastic, so I'll put them on whenever it comes to that. But yeah, here we go. Let's get this all on the car. Okay, so this is the Vika boxing and all the bits and pieces that we need. So the first step is just going to be assembling it. We've come inside for that because it's starting to drizzle outside and it's freezing cold. And as we're only assembling these bits and pieces, we don't need to be out there with the car. So we're going to assemble these all in here. I'll probably just do it on the time lapse, get them all put together, and then they're ready to go on the car then. So when we do fit them, it's just kind of, we can take one out, put the new one back in without having to disassemble anything whilst we're outside. So let's crack on and get all this put together. Okay, so it has started raining. We are outside now, so I've just assembled the rear shocks for now. Obviously we want to start with the problem child, which is going to be the rear, so we want to get those done. We've set up a nice little roof, so if I come out here, you can see we've got a nice little roof set up between the two. This is why it's lovely to have a roof rack, because you can strap it straight to the roof rack. We've got a nice little roof, so we come under here. It's nice and dry. We can get in from the rear of the car, makes it nice and easy. So hopefully the time lapse recorded the bit. It sort of froze at the end, so I'm hoping it did record. But yeah, we're gonna we're gonna jack it up on the beam, and then we're gonna take the bottom bolts off, take the top struts off, and we should be able to, just because the newer shocks are already assembled, we should be able to just pull the shock off, put the new one on, put the new springs in, and be done. So let's crack on and get that done. Okay, so the first bit we're going to do now on both sides is just slightly lift up. Now you've got both sides on the axle stands, we're just going to slightly jack up each shock absorber just underneath it, so it just takes the tension off, and then once we've taken the tension off, we can then take the bolts out a bit easier. So that's just going to be the first step on this bit, is just jack up the bottom of that and then taking it from there really. So we're going to sort of unbolt those, and we're going to lower the beam down slowly so that the springs come out slowly as well, and then we're going to take the top strut mounts off as well from underneath. There's 2 little bolts, so let's crack on with that. Okay, so I hope you can see me. I can't really see very well on there, but this is the old sort of shock, and if you're wondering what a knackered shock looks like that. That is not what a shock should do, unfortunately. That was not doing a whole lot. Yeah, it was very shocking. It's shocking indeed, but not doing shocking, unfortunately. There you go. Okay, so you've got both shock soffits as the other side. The bump stop has ripped on this one. It's not great either, to be honest. It is just 16mm all round, so 16mm on both sides on the bottom here, and it's 16mm for both of the bolts going up through the top there. So it's all 16mm, dead simple. We've still got the jack underneath the shock absorber sort of mounting plate on the other side. We're going to very slowly lower that now to drop the beam down, and hopefully the springs are going to just pull on out. So hopefully we'll get that done now. Okay, so that's the springs out, and this is the sort of little cup. We're gonna keep these and reuse these because they actually don't look in that bad condition. The springs, we sort of lowered the beam as much as we could, and then we just sort of squeezed, and that was enough to pull the bottom up and just rotate them out, and that's them out there. So those will go in the top there. So they sort of sit, you sort of push them in, and they sort of sit like that at the top of the spring. But we don't need this spring anymore, so we're gonna take these out, and then we're gonna put them on the new ones. Alright, so it is wonderfully raining now, so let's take this off under the cover. So these are the new springs that are going on. Hopefully you can see that. They're again provided by APD, and these are Vika ones. So these are from the June model. So we measured them up. They are a little bit thicker, a tiny fraction taller, 10-15mm taller, and fraction wider. But they should still fit in. It's all built off the same platform. But hopefully, when it's all back together, it should, in theory, lift the car a little bit. If they're thicker, longer, stronger, etc., in theory it should give me that 10-15mm lift that the June had over the standard models, because one of the only main differences I could find was the springs. The shocks all seem to be the same thing. There's no difference in the shock part numbers or anything like that, or drop links or whatever. It just seemed to be the springs. So we're replacing all of it anyway. Let's get on and get these in there. Okay, so that's probably a very short time lapse. It was a bit easier than I thought it would be. Basically just push the tops on. There's like little cups for them to go into, or over the top of, and then just squeeze the bottom, twist and pulled it onto the plate, and it went on super easy. So next is our wonderful new shocks that are not in pieces. So that's always a plus. Whilst the beam is still down, I'm going to bolt the top in, get this lined up with roughly where it needs to be on both sides. Then we're going to slowly lift the beam up with the jack until it lines up with the bottom of here. Get the bolt through, jack it up to take the tension out, and then put the bolt, and then put the nut on there. So let's crack on and get these on. Okay, so just so you can sort of see what I'm looking at, this is sort of the rear sort of top strut mount. That's the plate there. Rotate it around, and that just lifts up into there like that. And then it's these bolts that go on. But yeah, fairly easy, nice and just screws up into the body. You sort of line up the holes as you do there, like boop boop, and just put the nuts up, the bolts up in, and they go up through there into the body, and you're done. And on the bottom, it's just this little cup, and the bolt goes through. Okay, so we're now going to move on to the front. So this is our front shocks. We've got the springs, we've got the bearings, we've got the top strut mounts, and the other bits and pieces. So there's a little top nut. So this is going to be the next step. We've got the rears on, and again we're going to come inside to make these up, because I'm not saying outside, it's absolutely freezing and it's absolutely tipping it down. So we're going to assemble these quickly now, and then we're going to go and quickly fit them on the car as quick as we can. So let's crack on. Okay, so that is front shocks all put together. Make sure that the bearing sort of sits down nice and flush all around here, so it's nice and flat. On the bottom, you've got like a little tooth at the bottom of the spring sort of sits against, and there's two teeth here that sort of locate it on the back here and here. So that's it all together. So time to go and put it on the car, see what we got. Hey everyone, so it's getting dark and very cold and very wet, so I'm going to stick a time lapse on. We're going to get the sort of the lights out and we're just going to crack on now to get this done, because otherwise we're going to get caught in horrific weather and snow and all kinds of horriblenessness. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this next part. We're just going to get all the front suspension done. Okay, so it is the next day. We tried sort of working into the night a little bit, but it was just too much rain, too horrible, too cold, and we kept finding things that were wrong. It looks like there have been a number of bodges on the vehicle and a few things that were sort of broken as well, so we just called it a night, put the car back together again, and I've driven it back today. Now, thankfully, APD were on hand again. They are absolute legends there, I must admit. And they have saved the day for me once again, because once again my things go wrong, and we found that the drop links were just in bits. There was just nothing left, so we're going to be taking them off, and they have sent out these lovely heavy duty Vika ones. So these are much thicker, much more robust than the standard ones. Nice colour too, and the heads are going to be much bigger and stronger on them as well. So really nice Vika ones, and they sorted them out this morning. So I rang them at sort of very early hours of the morning, and he had them within the hour for me. So perfect on that. We also found, we also found that the brake pads have been bodged on the car. Not very happy about that. I do take the little one in the car, etc., as well as the wife and things like that. We do drive around in it. Not very happy about that. This model in particular has the brake wear sensor on it, and it looks like they've installed brake pads from one that doesn't have that on it, I guess to save cost, and unfortunately to rectify the issue they just cut the wires at the end, swing them around each other and put sort of a little resistor or something in the middle of the wires and just span them around. Not very happy about that, so I've gone and spoke to APD again this morning, and they've sorted me out again with some applied Nippon high quality brake pads with the sensor on them. So we've got it here. It's still in the packaging, so I'm hoping you can see it. But there's a little sort of wire in there with the plug on this side, and we've got that. Now the only downside is, unfortunately, they cut the wires, which leaves us with limited resources and ways to get those in properly, because you have to replace the whole loom on the other end if you want to do it the right way. And I don't have time, and it's a lot of money and it's a lot of work really, for the simple fact of what it is. So we're probably going to do a bit of a bodge to get those in and get it working, but we will make sure that it is working correctly, exactly as it should do. It might be removing the plug and crimping the wires instead, etc., but we will make sure they are fully connected and sealed and waterproof. So that's the plan for today, as well as our wonderful, nice new Vika shocks that we put together yesterday. So these are the nice shocks that they sent out. Just a better image now, it's a bit brighter. So these are the nice Vika ones, all Vika parts, OE, and like I say, these are June springs off the June model. The back we have done, and it is about, well, I measured it's about 20mm taller than it was before, so I'm hoping the fronts are going to do the same, and we're going to gain about 20mm on the front as well, just to help with those bigger wheels from the Cooper tyres. So let's crack on and get this bit done. Okay, so this is sort of what we're looking at with the sort of strut tower. So now I've got the wheel off and everything out of the way. So this is our drop link here, the one running down the back here, and this is the one we're going to be replacing on both sides. Let's say when we take it off, all this rubber in behind is shot. So I believe it was a 5mm Allen key in through the middle, and now I use these, so it's like a long reach Allen key, so that can go in there, hold it steady, and then we get the spanner sort of through, and then we undo it on there. I think it was 16 or 17. So that's sort of one of the main things we're going to take off first, just to make sure we can. The next is sort of the bolt in behind here. So you can see, if I turn the torch, this bolt here. So this is again a 16 or 17 inch, no, 18, sorry, this was an 18, and we used a long reach socket on that one. On the other side, on the back of it, you'll see an M14 spline socket. So you'll need an M14 spline socket on the back. So the bolt goes, so that's the nut there. And on the other side is the actual bolt head, which is our spline socket, but we're going to put the 18 long reach on the gun on this side and undo the nut from it. And that's kind of the bottom end disassembled then. And then it's just going to be the top sort of bolts that hold it in, sort of up here, but you undo those from the engine bay, and we'll show you at the time. Other than that, you've got to disconnect this band here. So this band here is what holds the sensor, and this is what I was talking about with the brakes. It just ends on 2 wires. I've uncoiled them a little bit, but they are very, very poor condition. So we're probably going to be snipping that back a little bit. I have got some more wire in the car, so I just carry that round. So probably going to snip these back, find a bit of a healthier cable, you know, even back to here, and then we're going to get the brake pad sensor in as well at the same. Well, the brake pads with the sensors in at the same time. I've got some coupler units. Unfortunately, because they've cut this and replacing all this is a nightmare, I am just going to have to sort of separate the wires out and put couplers in, and then some heat shrink over the top of both. But that is the best I'm going to be able to do, unfortunately. But that's kind of the process. It's kind of start here, then on the bolt down there. And you wouldn't normally have to do this. You would just unclip this bracket and move that out of the way whilst you take this off. We're just adding this in with the brake pads from APD. So yeah, drop link, big bolt here, and then 3 bolts on top. So let's crack on. So we got the drop link off on this one. As I say, I'll show you the difference. So this is our old one, completely loose, and as you can see, not doing a whole lot in there. And the other side, again, not great. So this is the new one. So they are the same length, which is what you want, obviously, but you can see this is much firmer. So you can hold it by the screw and just sort of dangle it around and doesn't move. So that's absolutely solid, which is what we want. And if you compare the heads, like the ball joint in there, you know, not even remotely close. Twice as thick, twice as wide, and yeah, even the bar itself is quite a bit wider. So much nicer, heavy duty unit. So thank you to APD for sourcing those on the day, last minute, within an hour. So there you go. Let's go ahead and get probably just the bottom bit on and then carry on. Okay, so that took a lot of lump hammering to get the bottom bit off there. So now that we've got the sleeve out the bottom, we're going to move on to the top. So it's just these 3 little bolts here, and we're going to undo those 3, just the rattle gun, and the shock should just drop on through. So if I quickly show you what the shock looks like now. Okay, so if you remember what we were looking at before, let's have a look if I get my torch. Okay, so you remember what we were looking at before. So we had the drop link in here, that's now out. Here's the new one ready to go on the bottom bit there. And this is the bit here, so you can see there's cleanish-ish section of the bottom of the shock. That's now out, so this is all sort of wobbly, loosey-goosey. And this clip is off of here, and away from this like flat section on the front of the shock. There's a little flat section here where the sort of VW logo is, and that's where that clip goes around. So that's kind of everything this end disconnected. You don't need to take anything else off of that. All the brakes and everything like around here can all stay in place for now, and all the wishbones can stay on. It's now just moving up to that top bit up on the top of the bonnet there, like I said, in the engine bay, where we're going to remove the rest of it. So let's get on and do that. Wow.
That one might be a bit more awkward.
Okay, so that's that side done. Just put it all back together again. We're going to start on the driver's side now. I'm probably just going to do that as a time lapse, and then when I'm done, I'll show you what it all looks like on the car, and I'll go around and show you the back, the front, and how it all sort of came together. And also the lift. We've looked at this side. It is definitely taller, at least 20 mil taller by the looks of it. I measured the back last night. It was 20 mil, or 20, just over 20 mil. I think it's going to be the same on the front. So now we're going to move on to this side. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so that's all of the suspension on all round. It's actually been a little while. I've been driving on them for about 2 months. It's obviously given it a slight ride height increase, and the driving's been really nice actually. I was worried about it being a bit floaty and a bit wishy-washy, sort of following, doing all of it, but it's actually been driving incredibly well. So very, very impressed with, I think it was all the Vika stuff. Like I say, the springs have held up really well. They're a bit grubby right now. Yeah, no, really, really impressed. So yeah, definitely recommend the Vika suspension there from APD. It really did make a difference to the drive and was really nice actually. The extra ride height was quite cool on a little Polo like that, to sort of have the extra sort of 30 odd mil. I think I measured it about 38 mil in the end all round. So yeah, really quite cool. Really, really, really appreciated, and yeah, hopefully see you on the next video.